What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 385 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags edition of the week, where we're going to be breaking down some of the current events, the rumors, the news, the gossip, the scuttlebutt, and everything else that went down in the world of professional wrestling over the past few days. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, is Robert DeFelice.
How you feeling tonight, Tony?
Fucking exhausted. Superstar shakeup just happened. We are not going to be talking about it tonight for anybody who's wondering because we still don't know exactly what that entails. So that is going to be our main event for this week, coming up a little bit later on Wednesday or Thursday or whenever the hell we get a chance to. So you won't hear us make fun of the fucking Viking experience yet. Stupidest shit. Oh my god, it's so bad. But we're going to save that discussion for, when we get to ram that one into the ground.
Callum will be here with us for that one, so it'll be special.
Yeah. We need to have an extra day to process just how awful that name is. But we have plenty of other topics to talk about here. And some of them have to go back to even like the Hall of Fame. Some of them are brand new stories. Some of them are stories that haven't happened yet because, let's just announce more shit and, add more to the schedule. Because I don't need to sleep in March and April. This doesn't have to happen. Thank you, WWE. Jerks. So let's go back to one of the older stories here. And this is that, and this makes perfect sense. Road Dogg's frustrated with creative. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. With the company that thinks the Viking experience is a good idea and changes shit on a dime and makes no sense and adds events when you don't need more events. I was supposed to have, Thursday was supposed to be when my fucking whole 3 weeks of hell was supposed to be over, and they added 5 more goddamn events in the process. They announced, or they didn't really fully announce, but this international pay-per-view thing with Saudi Arabia, and then they took that away, and I was like, oh, awesome. I don't have to do things for May 3rd. And then they were like, hey, 4 episodes of Worlds Collide. I'm like, all right, that sucks. And then now they add the other thing, and we're all right. So fuck. Ugh. All right, Road Dogg.
Well, I think the key word there is frustration.
Very
and
much.
We're feeling it. And you know what? I read this story when it first broke, and it was kind of like, haha, he's stepping down because he said Vince McMahon at the Hall of Fame. That's not what the story initially said, but when you're reading it, that's kind of the haha vibe that you get. And then you find, Road Dogg's frustrated because as the head writer of SmackDown, he would have to sit on Skype meetings, then go to live meetings, and then spend all this time writing the show, only to get there on Tuesday, and Vince just shreds the whole thing. And writes
plans
anyway.
change. We're gonna do these things that are completely illogical. You need to figure out a way to make it work, and you have 20 minutes. That kind of thing.
But you know what it comes down to, and here's the part where I sympathize with Vince McMahon. I think you will too. If you're gonna work for WWE, it's gotta be your whole life because it's Vince's whole life. Just like, what you do is your whole life. You don't sleep. You don't. You're not as healthy as you should be.
Far away from it. I actually scheduled a doctor's appointment for the first time in 10 years, and I didn't get, they didn't call me back, and I actually was like, oh, good, I don't have to go then. And then I was like, no, that's not the right. It's not how you're supposed to be thinking, Tony.
And I think Vince McMahon is a guy who tries to have a very 2019 company structure when I think he knows in his heart he just wants to do it all himself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things about him kind of berating Road Dogg for a lack of continuity, and they actually put out a job description, the word I'm looking for, opening for a script continuity advisor, basically, like somebody whose job is to strictly, they're not on creative, they're not pitching ideas, they are to strictly go over the scripts and make sure that week to week they actually line up.
which I actually have been giving a lot of consideration to applying for, although at the same time, I know that it would be an absolutely horrible job, because when you think about it, at the end of the day, this comes down to, and we've heard these stories from Pritchard and from other people, if Vince McMahon decides that something is going to happen, that's the end all be all, and you can't question it. If you question it, then you're potentially going to get fired or something.
Well, unless you catch him on a day where he's like, "Yeah, you got balls. Question me." Like, so it's all up in the air. And by the way, 100% you need to apply for that.
Well, like, can you imagine the people that, whoever would get this job, they go up and they go, I don't know if we should really do this because we've had that tag team match 5 times in the past 2 months. And they go, well, goddamn it, we want to do it, so fuck you. You know, like, that is probably what happens with Road Dogg. And then for somebody who wants to be a part of the creative process, and I know that, like, I mean, Road Dogg's not infallible here. Like, nobody on the writing team is infallible. I sympathize with them, even though I've never been on the writing team, and I can understand that they are probably, like, incredibly frustrated at their job changing and not being able to do the things they want to do, and building up ideas that lead nowhere because plans changed, and, you know, like, different things like that. At the same time, you do have to blame somebody for bad creative, and if they're handed down something from Vince and it says, like, I want you to bring this person and make them a tag team, give them a name, then they got to think of something, because their job is to be creative, you know? Like,
the Viking
the fucking experience. Like, I tweeted to Pritchard, like, directly at him, and I was like, dude, come on, help us out here. Whoever thought of this needs to wake up from the fever dream and fix it by tomorrow night. I hope that he reads that, and I hope he takes that to heart. Because I want tomorrow night for SmackDown to be like, yeah, by the way, and this happened, and the War Raiders are going to be, and then people just go like, no, sweep that under the rug. But it's not going to happen. So
it's like a Ziggler with short black hair.
Yeah, exactly. Just pull that. Just, yeah, that didn't happen. Let's retcon it and make fun of it on network specials and stuff. But, you know, if you're a Road Dogg and you're getting tweeted at from all these people that are like, SmackDown sucks because of X, Y, and Z, and you're responsible for those decisions, then you deserve the criticism. If you're not responsible and it's something that just got changed on a whim and this was the best that you could do, then I totally understand the frustration. And then it's like, you know, this job isn't fucking worth it.
But, like, the meetings and such, do you think that people should get into this industry with this crazy, crazy man, if, especially Road Dogg, who worked for him, if they know they're not going to be able to keep up with him? Vince is not right. Like, let's just...
Yeah, that's where, at the end of the day, it comes down to, there's no reason to have meetings that lead nowhere.
I don't know. I think Road Dogg was a part of the creative process in another way a long time ago. I kind of feel like Vince is going to die or be put into a cryogenic stasis, and, like, Sean and Hunter and DX are just going to run fucking creative. You know, like, that's just what I see happening. I see Sean being like, I don't want to work Raw. I don't want to work SmackDown because I don't want to be anywhere near the craziness. But as soon as Hunter can streamline that process to where, all right, we don't need to change things 5 minutes before we go on the air. We're going to have a creative team of Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Road Dogg, and probably the rest of the clique.
Maybe even, like, Skype calls with Kevin Nash and stuff. Like,
yeah, like, hey, Scott Hall, hey, what would you do here?
Hey, yo. Every time he signs on. Well, that also has something to do with this other thing, which was that a writer who I don't remember the name of the guy, sorry.
Hardy Evans.
Oh, there you go. Him. He was quote-unquote quit/fired from this whole Bret Hart Hall of Fame speech, which...
Not the person who allowed the attacker, but the person who actually, and this was the running joke, but Bret Hart said, we'd like to thank Vince McMahon. Artie Evans was the producer of that segment. You're fired.
And it's like, what's the problem of, I'd like to thank Vince McMahon? How is that the type of thing that you can fire somebody over? It's insane. I'm somebody, like, I'll put it into this context. I'm the type of person that if you give me a gift, I feel guilty because I feel like I never deserve any kind of gift. And if somebody thanks me, I feel kind of awkward. And at the same time, if somebody doesn't thank me, I'm like, oh, what an asshole. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those kind of things. But even if Vince is like that, where it's like, I don't want people talking about me, I want this to be about everybody else, that's a humble thing, not something to get so mad at somebody for that you fire them.
Well, maybe he's like really intense about like the sneezing. You know, maybe it's like sneezing and I don't want anybody thanking me. You know?
It's so strange. And for somebody to feel like they need to quit because they're about to get fired because they allowed somebody to thank their boss
of like 30 years.
Right. Who used to be a great friend. And I don't know, it's absolutely insane. And now there's been reports going around that like people in the writing industry are like, no, we'd never want to work for there because do you know what that place is like? And it's like, well, you breed that kind of environment and it makes sense, you know?
Yeah, I mean, again, they're trying to have a very 2019 company with writers and a team and a staff because they're entertainment. As much as Vince McMahon wanted to be entertainment, he still wanted to be the 3-man writing team of him, Patterson, and Pritchard, I'm sure. You know, like, he didn't want a bunch of strangers, because fuck you, I'm right, and the rest of you don't even know anything.
Right. It's just so crazy.
By the way, Tony, I'd like to thank you for everything you've given me in my time and in my career, and I thank you.
Well, everybody make sure you follow Dude Felice. It's his last Imagine if I was that goddamn crazy. Eventually I'm gonna turn crazy if WWE keeps making me do this shit. Yeah, so the writer and stuff is all insane, and that explains the Viking experience. So let's talk about people on the roster. Let's talk how Rhyno is apparently on the alumni section now, which this kind of follows in line a little bit with what he had said before. He did an interview about like 2 weeks before WrestleMania or something like that, where he was saying, yeah, I love WWE, but I don't know. I mean, there's other companies and I might need to go elsewhere at some point.
I don't know how to say this, Tony. Help me out here. It's not that I don't care.
Chrysanthemum.
Well, what a word that is. But it's not that I don't care, Rhyno. It's just that this is very irrelevant. It's like you haven't been a major part of the show since you first went over to SmackDown with Heath Slater.
And even then, it was a gag. It was in the tag team division. You know, like, realistically, let's put it this way. He was a tag team champion, and the most important thing that he's done since returning to WWE is really put over Easy Cheese and crackers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. he loves himself some Cheez Whiz.
Yeah, and that's not to say that Rhyno hasn't had a good career elsewhere or in WWE before and stuff. He's very...
Right now, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's checked out. Whether it's him or it's creative or both, he's been irrelevant for 3 years, something like that.
And, you know, if he's got to move on, hey, wish you the best. But, yeah, I can't see a reason that we need to really get in depth about, oh, Rhyno's leaving the company.
Yeah, because, look, he went through the NXT stint. They're not going to do that again. He's not going to win the Intercontinental title. He's not going to win the US title. He's certainly not going to win one of the world titles. Chances are he's not going to be paired up with anybody that'll be a decent enough tag team to get another title there. certainly the Slater thing, that's well past beyond its expiration date. And Slater doesn't need to be in that tag team either. He needs to be either in a new tag team or just a solo act. So it's time for Rhyno to move on. If he's interested in doing the politics stuff, he can keep doing that. If he wants to go to AEW and, have his time there, then he could do that. And somewhere down the line, they'll induct him in the Hall of Fame. He'll go in.
I really hope Paul Heyman is allowed to induct him and he just yells gore for like 50 minutes.
And then somebody from the crowd's like, all right, and runs through. We've got some injuries to talk about. One of them, I guess, isn't quite so much an injury as much anymore, but AJ Styles was supposedly injured. All these are injuries that are coming out of WrestleMania, except for one of them. And Styles is one of them with a hip injury. And he did a little thing on, I think it was Twitch, where he was just like streaming himself playing some kind of game, and I liked this quite a bit. I didn't see it, but I read about it where he was just like goofing off, and he was just like, yeah, I got some kind of a hip problem. I don't really want to like beat around the bush with you guys. It might be just okay. It's fine, whatever. None of this like trying to work the internet type stuff, Sasha. None of this, don't believe what you read. I'm not actually injured. I'm just going to take off 5 months. Like, the way that they do this kind of shit. He's just like, yeah, I got a little hip thing going on. It might not be that bad, though. And lo and behold, he wrestles on Raw tonight. So I guess the injury's not all that bad, which is good.
AJ Styles, I like him. I like the fact that he doesn't say, oh, you marks. Look at me, my hip is fine. No. And sorry, I love you, Sasha, but you pissed me off today.
We don't know so much about Daniel Bryan, though. And his injury hasn't even been necessarily specified from what I can tell. I don't know if it's supposed to be like, he's got like a neck injury, he's got an arm injury, a leg injury, like a concussion thing. I can't seem to find any information about what the injury is. That's a little bit nerve-wracking.
So, whoever the producer of their match was at Mania, do you think they're kicking themselves in the head right now for allowing that spot where Kofi Kingston stomps Bryan's head into the ground?
I don't know, maybe.
I'm sure it was fine, but I kind of cringed thinking, all right, one wrong move and we're fucked here.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
I mean, I hope that it's not something like that. I hope, obviously, that he isn't actually, like, really injured, but if he is injured, I'm hoping that it's something like, he broke his pinky, and he's going to be out for a little bit. Or even though, like, this is not a good thing, even if it's something like he tore a ligament, and he's going to be out for 2 months. Or, I don't know, that fucking...
Yeah, as long as it's not another career-threatening injury.
No, like, concussion-type stuff, no neck injury, no, like, spinal cord thing. Like, I'm crossing my fingers that that's at least not the case. But I guess we're going to find out sooner or later. And we just got to hope for the best. And another person, the third one on this list, is Big E. He was injured in some way, and hasn't really clarified exactly how, but I got to assume that it's probably the splits. Maybe not the best idea to do.
Now, I didn't see the 6-man tag. I do know that Drew McIntyre, disappeared during it to save his look, but unless he was injured doing something there, yeah. You're a powerlifter. Why are you doing splits?
I don't know. I mean, if he was doing that after WrestleMania, you got to assume that he was fine going into WrestleMania. So either something happened in that tag match, or the splits, or he, I don't know, slipped backstage and bumped into something, or things happen. Things are weird.
Do you think that they're gonna go into, when they do the surgery, they're going to take a bottle of maple syrup and just try to stick everything together?
I mean, it's worth a shot, right? What's worse than having?
I think so.
I don't know how this is going to all plan out and how this is going to affect Kofi Kingston's title reign, because you would think that the rest of the New Day members were probably going to be fed to whoever his next opponent is, and now that's going to fall strictly on Xavier Woods, so that kind of sucks. But if at the very least Kofi's able to stand on his own with this and kind of not fully separate from the New Day, because I don't want that to happen, and now that the Raw thing happened and all that, we kind of assume that that's not going to do. But maybe he'll just be able to kind of a little bit branch out and not be 100% tied to the New Day all the time. You know what I mean?
Right. And, you know, it's hard to say because the New Day got Kofi there, right? But at the same time, you know, why couldn't Kofi just get there as his own man? And maybe we're going to get a chance to see Kofi as his own man.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll figure out the ramifications of this over the course of however long Big E's going to be injured because, I mean, we don't know the timetable for any of that kind of stuff. And another person who's injured that we don't know exactly when she'll be back is Nia Jax, and she's got, what is it, both of her knees were messed up? Or...
Yep. They didn't say that there was any tear. They just kind of said both knees are messed up. This could be like getting it scoped, and she'll be back in like a couple months, or like, okay, she's gonna be gone for a while. And I don't know what I prefer. I mean, I would hold up. I'd prefer her not to be injured, but in this case, it's like, all right, you're injured. We gotta make the best of a bad situation. Do you rush a comeback, or do you, get healed and then come back as an even more dominant force? And the one who loses out the most here is Tamina, because she was like finally on the major shows doing something, decent.
I mean, Tamina wrestled that match against Dana Brooke, a main event, so...
Iconic! What a matchup. I cannot wait to find main event somewhere and go watch it.
Who knows where it is, because they don't even put it on WWE.com in any capacity.
Nobody knows where it is, but you need to know now, because Dana Brooke is fighting Tamina.
Yeah, well, spoiler alert, everybody, Dana Brooke won. So...
Oh my god. Yeah. Icon.
What else we have for hot tags? I'm losing track of so much shit. Let's talk about, I'll just breeze through this really fast. WWE Chronicle, Roman Reigns, Part 2. Skip it. I'll save you the effort of watching it. It's 45 minutes worth of Reigns saying, it's hard. Some days are harder than others, but you just gotta keep pushing through, and you gotta work hard, and that's what I'm gonna do. This means so much to me. Moments are special, and the camera's interspersed with footage of him meeting a dozen or so Make-A-Wish kids, and that's literally it, over and over and over again. It's the same 2 minutes on repeat for 45 minutes. So it's not the most engaging way to, spend your hour, and the most compelling thing that I've ever seen on the network. And if you like that kind of stuff, watch it. If not, I just saved you an hour.
Well, you saved me an hour, but you told me earlier not to watch it, so I didn't.
Yeah. Now, Worlds Collide, the first of 4 specials that they recorded at WrestleMania Access, that apparently 3 of the days nobody existed in the entire arena, that aired on Sunday, and they're going to continue to air on the next 3 Wednesdays at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, of course on the WWE Network. And this first one was NXT versus NXT Alumni. With that one, what's kind of strange is they didn't air all the matches that they had recorded. They only aired 4. The Apollo Crews versus Fabian Eichner match was not on there. And blanket on the other one now off the top of my head. Let me try to bring that up. Well, they recorded like Punishment Martinez versus Kona Reeves and Candice LeRae and Mia Yim against Aaliyah and Vanessa Bourne, but those aren't NXT versus NXT Alumni, so that makes sense. But the other one was Eric Bugenhagen against No Way Jose. So those are NXT versus NXT Alumni. And
that was probably a lot of fun.
The Bugenhagen and Jose one?
Yeah.
That was probably a fun segment, yeah. And they just flat out acted like it didn't exist. So we only got 4 out of the 6 matches that would have made sense. Cassius Ohno against Aiden English, Dominic Dijakovic against Luke Harper, Sanity, which no longer exists, against the Undisputed Era, and Roderick Strong against Tyler Breeze. So, question number 1, did you check it out?
I did.
Question number 2, what'd you think?
I liked it for what it was. You know, I think in this era of oversaturation, it's easy to say skip it. But, like, there's some good stuff on there. I like Tyler Breeze and Roderick Strong. You know, I like the Undisputed Era versus Sanity that's no longer together. You know, Harper and Dijakovic was okay, and yeah. I already forgot the 4th match.
Wait a minute, what was it? That was, oh no, in English.
Right. Okay, that's why I forgot it, because I'm like, I want Cassius on the main roster, I want Aiden English to be doing more. Both are stuck in limbo forever, and I'm sad about it.
I had forgotten how awful Aiden English's theme is. That is the worst.
I like when he sings his own stuff. Or when he says it's Rusev Day.
Well, the Ono English match was, like, fine. It really wasn't something to sell me on continuing to watch this if that was the first match that I was watching, and it wasn't just my job to do all this shit to begin with. I did like Dijakovic against Harper quite a bit. It's not going to be my match of the year or anything, but you could tell that they put a lot of their spirit into it. Yeah, this wasn't just like, let's go out there and go through the motions. This was an important match for them. And it makes sense, because they were doing, like, hyping it up on Twitter and everything. That being said, though, Sanity versus Undisputed Era, what a fucking bust.
You know why? Because they decided, hey, let's not have the worker, Eric Young, in the match.
This reeked to me of when you go to see, like, a random indie show and it's got somebody who used to be a WWE superstar. Like, I don't remember who it was that he had fought, but I distinctly remember parts of this one show I went to as a kid where Tom Brandi was on there. Do you remember him?
You mean Salvatore Sincere?
Yeah. But this was after he went under the Tom Brandi name, and it was like he was at the show and the Headbangers were at the show and Sandman was at the show. That was the event that I got Sandman's, he threw the can after he smashed it and I got him to sign it because I caught it in the crowd and all that. And like Tom Brandi was up against, I don't know, fucking some ECW guy or something. And it was just like two people pretending like they had been WWE superstars and stuff. And this Sanity match just made me feel so bad for them because Alexander Wolf and Killian Dane just came off as so bland. And the Undisputed Era, they have like all the potential in the world. Bobby Fish is not somebody who I'd be like, future world champion or whatever, but like Kyle O'Reilly always looks like he's putting out his A game. He's always having fun. He's always like energetic. And I got none of that from Dane and Wolf.
Yeah. Do you think, and this is something people don't get, this takes its toll on you mentally. When a company shows that they're not putting time and effort into you, it takes its toll. And I'm sure they're done with it,
It wouldn't surprise me at all if they got released. Especially now, Eric Young, the whole thing. And Breeze and Strong, that was fine and stuff, but I gotta admit, this was not a strong show to be like, hey, we've got 3 more of these coming up,
It's just content. It's just mass content overload. And unless you're like sitting down with a bag of chips one day and you're like, I want to watch something I've never seen before, here's Worlds Collide. I can't think of anybody actually watching this.
Yeah.
It's our jobs too, guys. We cannot stress that enough. That's why we watch a lot of these miscellaneous things. It is our job.
That's why you're going to see coverage of all 3 of the next ones, as well as the new special that they just decided, fuck you, we have even more things for you to do, which is The Shield's final chapter, which is airing this Sunday.
For real this time.
The 8th final time that they're showing it, which they already renamed, because earlier tonight it was called The Shield's Last Chapter, and they even put the graphics up about it. And now it's the final chapter. It goes to show how much that they really, thought was put into that. all their advertising so far is the Shield are having a match, and Finn Balor is defending the Intercontinental title.
And I think that's all you'll get.
There's a very good chance that that's the case, because there's 2 live events that are running at the same time. One of them's in Illinois, one of them's in like Minnesota or something like that. And this is a house show. It's not a pay-per-view. It's not something that they're going to have their best equipment on. They're probably going to use the same kind of equipment that they did with Starrcade. And it's really confusing because they're saying that it's airing live, but it's at 9:30 and the show starts at 7. So you're kind of assuming that at the very least they're going to have 2.5 hours worth of material before that. And I am incredibly underwhelmed, and I have zero fucking interest in this, which is a shame.
I can only hope that it's like a really proper goodbye, and it makes you feel good. And we're talking about it next Monday, and it's a happy occasion. It's not emotional.
Well, since they haven't said what it is, we were talking about this ahead of time. We just kind of assume they're going with the most basic, laziest way possible to do this, which is the Shield are fighting Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre.
Absolutely.
It's like, do you guys even try? You know?
No, and you know they don't. Shame on you.
I'm assuming Finn Balor fights Andrade.
Hopefully Andrade wins.
If Andrade wins, well, let's put it this way. Since we don't know what's happening on the SmackDown side of the Superstar Shakeup yet, if Finn Balor goes to SmackDown tomorrow night, Andrade's winning the Intercontinental Championship on Sunday. Then it's just happening, you know?
Yeah.
And then that's the type of thing that spoils that that's going to happen. So that kind of is like, well, that's a shame. Kind of like a certain Usos graphic that popped up and spoiled something on Monday Night Raw.
That's hilarious. Poor graphics guy. He's looking for work right
now. Yeah, so, I mean, we're not doing a post show for this. We're not going to do post shows for the Worlds Collide things because it's just, there's too much shit. Sorry, guys.
Unless somebody dies. Like, if somebody dies, I'm sure we'll jump on and
do a small package or something.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of handling far too many things, and if I had somebody that could do all the graphics and to do all the live updates for all the things and stuff, then we do something, but there's too many things to handle. So instead, we're going to be reviewing the Shield's final chapter on the hot tags next week, so stay tuned for that. The same as what we'll be doing with the second of the Worlds Collide, which is going to be the Cruiserweights Collide, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. So those events will be popping up on the next week edition of that. And before we round out the hot tags, quick mention that next week after we do the hot tags and we kind of take care of all that stuff is going to be the mailbag. So send in those mailbag questions.
Jeez, these months.
Yep, they just fucking breeze by, don't they?
Yeah.
And I've got 2 more hot tags to talk about. One of them is that Punishment Martinez. Finally took him a little bit of time, but he's changed his ring name because WWE does that whole like, yeah, it's great that you're this person, but nah. So he is Damien Priest now, which is not the worst name, but it is very like Mordecai kind of.
I like it because I think Punishment Martinez is stupid. And maybe they give him a shot. Or maybe he goes nowhere. We'll never know.
Well, if they're bringing up all these people on the main roster, they're going to need to replace them. So he's got to become a regular staple to NXT at this point. That's probably why they're doing it.
Well, I think he's got potential. But I think NXT is headed for a drought.
Mm-hmm. Especially in the tag team division.
Yeah.
And the last hot tag that I've got down is Ronda Rousey is taking a vacation, but it's not just any vacation. It is a hashtag impregnation vacation. So this essentially translates to I'm still hot and horny from the Hall of Fame, and I want Travis Brown to knock me up while we're on vacation. Right?
We're on vacation of impregnation.
It took me a second to realize where you're going with that. I made a joke earlier about this is the worst Schoolhouse Rock thing ever, and that's even better with Nation of Domination.
I think that Ronda Rousey, I want to find somebody that is half as into me as she is into Travis Brown. If she could, she would jump his bones 24/7, or at least that's the impression that she gives off. And good for them, you know? I hope they are successful and that everything goes well. And kudos to Travis Brown for knocking out that motherfucker at the Hall of Fame. You know?
Yeah.
Good for him.
Still haven't heard anything about that as far as them saying, like, if that was something that they gave him credit for, or if they were like, hey, you kind of overstepped your bounds or something. But she was obviously very, very into it, and she's going to be thinking of that on the vacation, I guess. I don't know. But, you know, all this talk about, like, hey, JoJo's pregnant and all that, and I figured we should throw this into the hot tags too, because that's part of the hot tags. It's just built into the fabric, I guess.
So, are you ever going to take a vacation?
Am I ever going to get a chance to? I barely have enough chance to brush my teeth every day. Actually, I haven't today. So, it's 1 a.m. I haven't done that yet. So
you'll be seeing Dr. Isaac Yankum pretty soon, I'm sure. But yeah, good for Ronda Rousey. I very much think she'll be back in WWE, depending on when she gets pregnant and when she gives birth. If she's good to go by next year's WrestleMania, Becky and Ronda will be the main event of next year's WrestleMania.
Yeah, they'll do something like that. Although I don't think it would be the main event. I think that it would be supplemental to whatever the men's division would have. But we'll see.
Well, we will see.
We'll see what happens with Kairi Sane, who will totally be on SmackDown tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah. You want to throw that in there real quick?
Yeah, that's the last one I want to throw out there is, spoiler alert, they kind of fucked that graphic up too.
Woo! They put out a video, and they do this every week, of the 5 things you should know before Raw. And apparently in this video, which they then deleted, the graphic literally shows Kairi Sane over on SmackDown.
Right next to Asuka.
Because racism, or because, hey, here's your tag team for Paige?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm still going with Sky Pirates, because Asuka's win, lose, or draw has proven that she's dominant enough that realistically they need a partner.
I'm still kind of assuming that it might be Ember Moon and Asuka together.
I definitely want Ember Moon to go over in the shakeup.
She kind of has to. But then again, we saw some things on Monday Night Raw that weren't a has to or never should happen and stuff. So
the Viking experience.
Yeah. Well, apologies for a haphazard set of hot tags. I'm fucking out of my mind right now. So that's it for this week. We're just gonna kind of call that an end on the hot tag section for that. But before we say goodbye to you guys, we want to remind you of some plugs for you to keep track of. Obviously, first things first, if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, then do that and ring that little bell for the notifications to be aware of when we post the next things, which, as I mentioned before, the next thing is going to be the Superstar Shakeup review. We're going to break down all of the different trades, make fun of the Viking experience and everything else that we need to do. We've got the mailbag coming up next week, so that's something that you should be brainstorming some questions. We've got Facebook and Twitter at SmarkOutMoment, so follow those. You can check out the podcast on the non-YouTube side of things on a ton of different platforms, iTunes and Stitcher and Spotify and Google Play and all these other kind of things. And if you find us on any of those, then make sure you give us some kind of a rating. And There's Redbubble and TeePublic for merchandise, which I just got one of my Avengers things taken down earlier today, so that's great. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to re-upload anything. So right now there's a Superstar Shakeup parody that says Smark Out Moment. So if you're interested in picking that up, get that as soon as you can, because you never know when they're going to take it down. We've got the stuff on smarkoutmoment.com. We've got the Patreon if you want to throw some spare change our way and kind of help us out in that regard. I've got Fanboys Anonymous for the movie reviews and stuff, which eventually, whenever I get a fucking break, at some point I'm taking a day off and I'm seeing that Avengers movie on the opening night. I don't care what is going on. That Thursday is fucking Avengers Day. Not fucking Avengers. I'm not like, taking the Hulk out back and, whatever, but you know what I mean. So that's something to look forward to. I might be seeing Pet Sematary too, and I might put something up. I'm not too sure about that. I don't know. But that's all happening on Fanboys Anonymous, so check out that site and follow all those accounts and subscribe to the YouTube channel and all that stuff over there. I got some stuff on eWrestling News that's cooking. I got some stuff on Bleacher Report that'll be put out eventually, and some other things you guys should catch up on. And that's it. Whatever. I don't know. Fucking, that's good enough.
Wait, well, hold on. First of all, you're cooking over at eWrestling News? I'm not aware of any food being served. I think I deserve some food.
I think I need to figure out a joke response to that, and I can't. So,
guys, it's 1:13 in the morning. We're fucking tired. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. You can follow eWrestling News because it's where I work. Follow WrestleZone because they're cool, and I also do some stuff on their Facebook page. Time Killer Apparel, even though nobody buys anything. Guys, tweet at Tony to do a Mount Rushmore of stuff for fanboys, because I want to do shit for fanboys, because I'm burned out on wrestling a little bit.
I'm so, I have so many articles, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to tell people right now just what they are missing out on Fanboys because there's so much goddamn wrestling shit. I have drafts in the works of everything from my pitch of what Incredibles 3 should be and what Kick-Ass 2 should be, how you would end every character's story that's a major enough character in the Marvel universe, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Marvel universe. This is what the end of Wolverine's story should be in my mind. This is what the Fantastic Four should wrap up as. I got a list of X-Men characters who shouldn't be mutants, how to revamp the entire cosmic entity pantheon of Marvel, elevator pitch ideas for everything from a true follow-up to Terminator 2 to an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie to how would you make a TV show based off of the movie Let's Be Cops, which is such a random thing, but whatever. An article about video game spin-off characters, give Shy Guy a game. How I would fix Generation 1 of Pokemon.
Under what context do we give Shy Guy a game?
He's fucking awesome. Look at him. Shy Guy is awesome. He's a shy little guy. He's cool. He's got a fucking hoodie.
Okay.
Look, there's articles. It makes sense. But there's so many things like that just have been... I've got an article of how would you make the perfect James Bond movie that I've had as a draft for 2.5 years. Because I've just never had the time to write it all. And that's because WWE does shit where they're like, oh, fucking Shield again on Sunday. And you're like, ah, damn it. So, yeah, you're missing out on that kind of stuff. And that's where the Patreon comes in and all that. So, I don't know, try to hit that up or something. But
so this is what I'm saying. I've been pitching Tony with ideas for Mount Rushmore of animated superhero cartoons. Mount Rushmore of just superheroes. We'll be there for 5 hours. I want to do other stuff. I want to go fucking play a Shy Guy game right now.
Yeah, right? Shy Guy for the win. Shy Guy game 2019. Whatever the hashtag is. I don't know. Something. Hashtag impregnation vacation shy guy. There you go. I don't know, I'm tired. All right, that's it.
All right. This has been another miking experience, and we've been counted out.
Thank you for listening to this, everybody. If you got this far, I applaud you.
By the way, if you're not Peter, Guest 5, or Callum, and you got this far, leave a comment down below, and we'll shout you out.
Thank you, Marco, Bobby Lesnar, anybody who's like a regular.
Brock Lashley.
We will see you at the Superstar Shakeup review, and hopefully that'll be much more coherent. So
it will be, because it'll be a fucking normal hour of the day.
We'll see. Well, depends. I'm normally awake and all that. My brain's fried. So we'll see you then, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for following us and leaving your comments and all the other kind of stuff we're doing. And we will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.